Imagine you were a painter, an artist a couple of 100 years ago. Then technical capability meant how do you reproduce reality perfectly? But then photography came along and suddenly it was not required. You didn't have to be making painting people or landscapes perfectly because there was photography. And only those artists survived or did well that were able to add other creative aspects to their art. Now, if you take software engineering, right? A lot of the work so far is how do you take these ideas that people have about what they want to see, what they want to have built, and then put them in language that the machine can understand. That's what most of us do as software developers all the time. But technology is changing and it's getting easier and easier to make this happen. And the Googles and Microsofts and Amazons of the world, they're all working at ways to make this really using AI, etc. to make this really easy. What do software engineers do? Now think about it. Many of you are just about 30 years old, right? Plus minus a few years. You will work till 60, 65, maybe 70. You have 35 years more of your careers ahead of you. So if you are not adjusting to how the future will look like, it's a challenge. Now, if you look back 35 years ago was, let's say 1985, yeah? We didn't even have cell phones around, right? It was a totally different world. So if you had the mentality of 1985, today you would not be able to work effectively or really in any company. And to work in the future, you have to be prepared for that future. And that future is not about only engineering, only the moving of these ideas from our brains into the machine. It's also about having new and creative ideas, about how do you link those ideas up with business results? How do you actually make these products and services which are attractive for customers and their customers, right? And if you take these different levels of the technology stack, you have hardware, it's got commoditized. If you take infrastructure management, it's got commoditized or is getting commoditized and automated. If you take application management, it's going in the same direction. So we at Nagarro have always been at the top of the stack, making these digital products and services. And not for one company, not for one industry, but for many, many different industries. We'll work with the top car companies, you work with the top airline companies, the top banks, the top railroads, the top healthcare companies, medical devices makers, the top consulting firms, and so on. So highly diversified, where there's no single shock that's going to break our business. And then on top of it, we work with lean, small teams. We have an engineering DNA, so we are not about just scaling large, 20, 30, 40 million projects. We're about small, intensive projects with lean, small teams, where each and every person gets a chance to be visible, to understand what the client is saying, to work closely and intimately with the client and their customers. And that's the kind of knowledge and that's the kind of training that you need to survive when software becomes trivial to write, right? So you need that exposure. We have 750 clients. We're a small company with 750 clients with thousands of projects and all amazing projects. I mean, if you look, for example, if I look out of my window, I see a hotel in Gurgaon, and the lighting control there is done by a company that we work with, and we help build that. And they also do the lighting controls for, let's say, the White House in the US or the Statue of Liberty, or Ambani's house or the Taj Mahal and so on. So, lighting controls, or when your pilot says on a flight that your estimated flight time is this, it's our software most likely. If you take a very long haul flight with jet engines, the process informatics for the making of those engines is done by us. All over the world, many, many different kinds of products are being done by Nagarro software and software engineering. But it's not the kind of work that the larger companies would do, which is large and you're a cog in the machine. These are small, intensive projects mostly, where a lot of creativity and a lot of working with clients can be brought to bear. We are not a front-end back-end company. Most of the large companies are front-end back-end companies. They are these client partner folks who are in the country of the client, and then there's a back-end in India. We are not a front-end back-end company. A lot of our leadership lives in India. A lot of it lives abroad. We are an international company. We are today one of the German-based, one of the largest German-based IT services companies. But each team is global. Each team is led by the person best suited to lead it, no matter where they sit, right? And this kind of opportunity for growth, because Nagarro is also one of the fastest growing companies, this set of opportunities for growth, this set of exposure with our lean small teams, with a lot of working closely with clients, and the great engineering problems we solve. Because at the end of the day, we are all engineers. But this combination is very, very unique. So I would really suggest that if you want to bulletproof your career for the future, for the next, not for the next 5 years, but for the next 30, 40 years, then there's no company that is faster growing, plus so diversified with so much exposure, plus with such fantastic engineering credentials and such an ability to work in lean, small, fast moving teams with so much responsibility and autonomy to each and every individual. It's like going to the gym, you build muscle. So if you join a company like Nagarro, you build muscle for your career. So that's the answer. Not so short, but I hope it's understandable. And I'm sure you can play the video again if you missed any part of it. Thank you so much.